What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus package update and daily news report for Wednesday, November 3rd. So we actually have some very big news. What we saw yesterday, we're now starting to see that roll over, and what we're seeing is Democrats are now pushing for a little bit more. Democrats say that we need to fight. Here's what's going on. Yesterday, Republican Glenn Youngkin, he actually defeated Democrat Terry McAuliffe for the governor's race in Virginia. This happened yesterday. Now, I want to bring this up because this does play into what we are potentially going to see regarding the upcoming human infrastructure bill at $1.75 trillion. According to many reports, Democrats are extremely worried. They thought they had this in the bag. They thought this was a done deal, but it wasn't. President Biden ended up winning Virginia by 10 points last year. Okay, it was easy. President Biden did not have much competition from former President Donald Trump. What we knew is that Democrats fought for education. They fought for just different things, right? Well, what we saw just from the past few months is that the polls were coming in showing that Republican Glenn Youngkin, he was starting to win the suburbs. He was starting to win over people for education. He wanted to make sure that the parents had the rights to choose what is going to be taught to their children, right? These were things that he was running on. And so now Democrats worry that they are going to lose and lose big when it comes to the upcoming midterm elections. Well, according to political experts just this morning, this was the worst news for Democrats that they could have heard at this time. Democrats have known that holding the majority in the House and the Senate, it was going to be somewhat difficult. However, according to the reports now, they are saying that this is seen as an almost impossibility to hold the majority in the House and the Senate. Right now, polling experts anticipate that at least 10 of the 34 Senate seats will flip to Republicans, and the House will easily fall to Republicans as well. Again, we're over a year away from the November 8th, 2022 midterm elections, but these are the expectations as of right now, unless Democrats can do something and kind of flip the script. So, what does this mean for Democrats at this time? Well, what we know is many Democrats have been arguing that we're not passing a bill that would provide enough to the American people. There's just not enough in it. There's too much for other things. There's too much for climate change. We've got $1.2 trillion going to roads and bridges, and yes, they're going to help out the American people. They're going to make transportation easier, right? We're going to fix our infrastructure, which is something that is needed. But what they're saying is that these are not popular pieces of legislation, and the American voters are not getting behind them. From the polls that we have been seeing lately from CNN and Fox, most Americans have no idea what is actually in these bills. They don't know. Right now, the American people, according to multiple reports, are not as worried about fixing a perfectly good road or bridge. What they're worried about is getting out of this pandemic, living through it. We want to make sure we're being taken care of and provided for, which we've been promised. And we want to see that our children have more opportunities coming out of this. Well, how are these things accomplished? Here are the provisions within the current bill that provide some of these things. First, expanding Medicare. Who are the most vulnerable people right now? Elderly. These are the most vulnerable people right now. Some say that right now millions of Americans are hoping to get expanded Medicare, and not just hearing. Not just for hearing, which is what is currently in the bill or currently in the framework. They want to see vision, dental, and hearing. Those three things. That is what was promised to us. But right now, that's not what we're seeing. We also know there's about an $800 stimulus debit card that's still on the table. This would go towards paying things like, glasses for vision, paying things like, dentures. $800 could get you glasses. $800 is not going to get you a good set of dentures. It's just not going to do that. But one thing I can tell you is they are still discussing this. Is it going to be $800? Maybe. Could it be $1,000? Possibly. Is it going to be $2,000 to $5,000? No, it's not going to be that high. At least not according to multiple reports. But this is one of those things that many say we have to consider. Senator Bernie Sanders has been fighting for this. Senator Bernie Sanders also just the other day, and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer brought this up as well, that they have a deal. They have a deal on lowering prescription drug prices. This is huge. This, in combination with expanding Medicare, is going to be big for many elderly people, for many seniors. And here's what you need to understand, is Democrats have been saying we need to provide for more people. We need to provide for the American people. We need to give them what they want, or they will not vote for us. And just reading your guys' comments, you're saying the same thing. I'm not going to vote Democrat because, well, they promised us this and they didn't deliver. I'm not voting Democrat because of this. I'm not saying vote Democrat or vote Republican. I'm just saying this is what we're seeing. Many people are flipping from Democrat to Republican simply because of the promises that were made and have yet to be delivered. But Senator Bernie Sanders, he promised we're going to expand Medicare. That's exactly what we're doing. He said we are going to lower prescription drug prices. That's exactly what we're doing. Now, he still has to get everybody on board, but he is pushing through with this. So that is good news there. Many seniors are going to vote Democrat if we can lower the prices of prescription drugs and we can expand Medicare. Those two things. Well, here's another group. What we are hearing is that if we can pass something for affordable housing, this would be big. Rents are going up. Purchasing a home is now harder than ever in previous years. And when Zillow took about 7,000 homes off the market because they bought them and they were overpriced, which raised the prices of every other house, well, Zillow's now in a world of hurt because of this, potentially going to lose, I think, like $550 million or something like that, just because they bought houses that were too expensive, not worth it, and they are sitting vacant. It's turning into a big issue. Zillow is potentially going to sell those for pennies on the dollar, but guess what? They're not going to people like you and I. They're going to go to these large corporations, right? Go BlackRock and companies like that. So we're not going to see them, at least not for what they're going to get them for. But here's what I can tell you. Currently, there are hundreds of thousands of people that are homeless here in the United States. There are an additional hundreds of thousands of people that are living with their friends, their family members, just because of what they have gone through over the past year. The issue right now is that the bill that we previously saw that was going to go for that $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill, there's going to be about $350 billion in that for affordable housing, about 10%. However, it has been cut to just $150 billion. Still a lot of money, but experts say that is not enough. So if we want to see the homeless, we want to see people that are now living with friends and family come back, be like, yay, Democrats, we did it. We passed this. Okay, and then they start voting Democrat again. Well, according to experts, this needs to be taken up. This needs to get up closer to $200 billion in order to see more Democrats come out of the woodwork and vote for them. But again, we'll see what happens there. Another very popular piece of legislation, something that a lot of people really enjoy, are the child tax credit payments. So if you get these are $300 for a child between 0 and 5, and for a child 6 to 17, you get $250 per month, as long as you are within the income limits. So one thing that you need to understand is that the bill currently has one additional year. They extend this provision for one additional year all the way into 2022. However, experts say that in order to get more people on board, more parents on board, we should extend these another year to 2 years, not just one. However, experts do say that with this provision and extending it for 1 year, it's still a very popular piece of legislation. This is what's going to bring a lot of parents into the fold and have them vote Democrat. So we'll see what happens there. But one thing I just want to say is that this is a bipartisan provision. Republicans like this as well. This is actually something that many Republicans brought up also. This isn't just a Democratic priority. There were also Republicans that brought up giving $1,000 per month to families that have children. So, and again, I don't know if that was just more of a political game that they were playing at that time, but they did bring it up. Another big one, and this is going to impact women more than men, but is paid family leave. What we know is that right now, especially in the hospitality and retail industries, which are mostly women, what we are seeing is that they do not have paid family leave. So what we are seeing right now is progressives are fighting to include paid family leave into this upcoming infrastructure bill. Right now, experts say that if Democrats want to retain their seats next year, then they must include more for paid family leave. Initially, it was supposed to be 12 weeks. Then it went down to 4. Experts say it needs to be 8. 8 weeks. If you want to see more people jump on board and say, yes, we did it, we include paid family leave, provide 8 weeks, not just 4. 4 is not enough. 4 is considered a slap in the face. So we'll see. Another big one that I actually addressed yesterday, so if you didn't get a chance to watch my video that I did yesterday afternoon, make sure you go and watch that. But I talked about student loan forgiveness. That President Biden, the memo was released just yesterday. The date on the memo was April 5th, 2021, so obviously quite a while ago. But the majority of the memo was heavily redacted. We can't see it. We don't know what's actually in it. But experts say that President Biden does have the power to forgive up to $10,000 in student debt. But he just doesn't want to do it at this time because it would be tough politically. But here's what I can tell you. If student loan forgiveness was passed, or President Biden, with the flick of the pen, signed an executive order to forgive up to $10,000 in student debts, what that would do is it would pretty much eliminate 100% of the debts for about 15 million Americans, 15 million people, okay? But here's the issue. These 15 million people now would have no debts, could go and maybe use their payment to, or their savings on the payment to maybe purchase a home, put money back into savings, invest into their retirement, right? Different things. Or they could just spend it and it could go throughout the economy a little bit quicker, right? But here's what I can tell you. If Democrats were to pass this, 15 million Americans are going to be like, Democrats did that. President Biden did that. I should vote Democrat. And so that's what we're seeing is that right now, again, this is less than 24 hours after the Virginia governor race. But what I can tell you is just looking at the reports, looking at some interviews, tweets from lawmakers, they're saying we need more. This is the reason why. If Democrats do not provide more for the American people, they will lose the House and the Senate. And so you can just anticipate the final 2 years of President Biden's of his presidency are going to be very difficult. Okay, very difficult to try to pass something with the Republican House and Senate. It's going to be very difficult. Many people say we cannot relive the 2010 crisis. And when they say the 2010 crisis, they're simply talking about how Republicans won back. Because Democrats had the presidency with former President Barack Obama, and current President Joe Biden was the vice president at that time. But they had the presidency, the House, and the Senate. Then they lost it. They lost it because they didn't do enough during that crisis. So we'll see what happens this time around, but what I can tell you is things are looking very interesting. What we are potentially going to see. Honestly, I have no idea what new ideas are going to come out of Congress at this time, but we do know Democrats and progressives, mainly progressives, are pushing for more. They say we need more. We'll see what moderates allow them to do, though. We also know that the House of Representatives won't include a debt ceiling increase in the $1.75 trillion infrastructure bill. They say that this was being considered, but Democrats believe that at this time, they will have other options to increase the debt ceiling. Some say they're hoping to get this hopefully get into 2022, and then they'll raise it through another budget reconciliation that they have then. But the goal right now is to pass the bipartisan bill at $1.2 trillion and the human infrastructure bill at $1.75. The expectation is that could potentially be cut a little bit as well in order to get Senator Joe Manchin on board. Again, he's still a little bit skeptical. Should we go for 1.75? Should we go down to 1.5? Should we cut different things? Should we make some, should we expand other portions of this bill, which is coming mostly from progressives? But if we expand other portions, for example, lowering prescription drug prices, by doing that, Senator Joe Manchin wants other things to be included. So there's still the SALT tax we got to work on. We still have to know a little bit more about immigration. So there's a lot that we still have to go over, but that is what we're hearing at this time. But in COVID news, I just want to bring this up. The CDC has found that immunity from the vaccine is more consistent than from the infection. However, they say both last at least 6 months. So for those of you that maybe have not got the vaccine, but you have contracted COVID in the past, you should have a somewhat of an immunity to COVID through that. And it would last potentially about 6 months. So that's actually coming from the CDC just this morning. So I just wanted to provide you with a little bit of information on that, but that is what we know at this time. Again, big news from yesterday. We'll see what happens for the rest of this week. We got the notes from the Federal Reserve coming out. We got the jobs report coming out. We got CPI data next week. So there's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of new information. There should be a lot of answers for Senator Joe Manchin. Hopefully we can get this deal done. But as always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back and share all the latest news and updates. Again, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.